landed their summer internship or a job. Okay. On Sundays, when I send out the weekly email that has what's coming up for the week, in this week's email, there's going to be a blurb in there. If you've already secured something for the summer or a job after graduation, if you will fill that out, you'll get off all the email blasts that we're going to send for the rest of the semester. Because we know we're filling your inbox up, but we're having to because of market. So if the student has landed a job or has landed a summer internship, we want to get you off of those blasts because there's a lot. I just want to kind of give you some tips and tricks on using Handshake because there's AI behind this. It would make your life easier, and I know everybody's in a time crunch. So if you've got your Handshake, got your laptops, go ahead and open your Handshake. I want to give you some quick tips. You don't have to do all of it today, but I think just some highlights of what I want you to look at because I think this will make the system work better for you. It's from where we started with Handshake and where it is today is day and night of what all the AI is behind the scenes to help you all. If you are in Handshake, if you'll go to the top right-hand corner, some of you may have already uploaded your picture, it may have your initials, and click on My Profile. You need to go through this and make sure everything is the way it should be. Because some people updated their profile weeks and months ago or years ago, and some people have done it, have to make sure it's up to date very frequently. You need to make sure this is what is indicating and what is your interest. All this things that AI, all this things what we're sending you is based on what you say, is about you. The skills section is key. This is not the time to sell yourself short. If you've got skills, you put them on here. And I'm saying if you've got 500, whatever, the AI is what's going to help it. If you know languages, if you know computer skills, if you know team management, whatever it is, you need to put that in the skill section so the AI helps. What's also happening, our employers are looking for skills. So if an employer is in here using the functionality of the system and they say, I want somebody that can do whatever, knows French, knows Python, knows whatever. If you don't have it in your skills, you're not going to show up in their search. And some of them are using that capability to find students. So this is definitely not the time to sell yourself short. I'm going to send to Professor Calhoun later, we've actually got a skill sheet that we try to dump as many skills as we could think possible that Lake students might have. And sometimes you just don't think of something. So we're going to make sure that's on there. A lot of times our student athletes don't think about putting on their NCAA athlete. Stuff like that. There's key things, that you need to put on here that we put into this skill section. So I'm going to send that to you later. Anything that you see a little pencil by means you can edit. So you need to make sure that you've done that. I think I mentioned in the class last time, you need to have your GPA in here, down on the education section. You don't have to make it viewable, but if you have 0.00, it's going to look like you don't qualify for anything. So you could have it in here as a high or low, whatever it is, but make sure it's in there. Because if it's 0.00, it may call you out of some opportunities. Courses are another thing you can add in there. Organizations, projects, you can see a lot of different things on there that you can add in. So you don't have to take time to do it all today.
Should we just put your GPA in the description of our education section?
You can, yes.
Good.
Yes, see, look it down at this one. And we have a fake student account that we use for training, and her name's Anita Job. We've been using this for training for a long time. And unfortunately, she has to look like a Lake student. And we've told employers in the blurb, this is not a real student. This is our training student. They think she's real. We have given her every quality, every function, every leadership role she could have, highest GPA, and they think she's real, and she's getting messages. So that's why you need to have this stuff in here. So I have to laugh when I saw
She has all the good keywords.
She's got all the keywords in hers. But we use her for training, so I had to look back at her accounts and make sure I'm not missing anything. But yeah, definitely make sure you put that in there. So that is under the profile. If you're still under the top right, I'm going to skip down a few sections. My career interests. This is where you've got to tell the system exactly what you're looking for. If you're looking for a job, select it. If you're looking for an internship, select it. You need to choose the industry. You need to choose the functions. This helps my team in particular. So when we get an opportunity, and I can tell you it's going to happen in the next couple of weeks before the end of the semester, where an alum will find out they've got an opening on their team, and they'll say, I need resumes, I need them tomorrow. And I'm going to literally, me or anybody on my team will go in here and say, what student, with whatever job this or internship this is matching up to, is going to get an email. And some of you probably have gotten those emails. You're getting this because you said you're interested in whatever. Here's a lead. And we're going to try to then, we're going to give you enough of a blurb to pique your interest and then give you the hyperlink straight over to the opportunity. But you've got to make this what your interests are. You can change this at any point in time. If you decide you don't want to be in New York, you want to be in San Francisco now, go in and change it. But make sure this stays up to date so the system feeds you your interests. Also, under the top right, a lot of students ask the questions about my documents. That is your suitcase where you will upload your resume, you might upload your unofficial transcript, you might upload cover letters to have in Handshake. And the cover letters, of course, happen later, but you can go and get your resume and your unofficial transcript uploaded. But it's just sitting there waiting for you to make application for an opportunity at Handshake. One key note on cover letters. If there's an opportunity that asks you to submit a cover letter, when you upload it into Handshake, always look at it to make sure nothing crazy happened, because it's going to take your Word document, convert it to PDF. Make sure nothing wonky happened with the conversion. But when you upload it, distinctly name it. Don't say cover letter 1 and cover letter 2. We've had students do that and submit the wrong cover letter to the wrong opportunity. It's happened with quite a few students. We've had it happen on some finance postings. A student submitted a Bank of America cover letter to Wells Fargo. And there's nothing worse than on the line getting that. No, it's, they just don't like it. So make sure when you upload it, you do distinctly name it. The unofficial transcript part, most employers are not going to ask for it. There's going to be some that will. You can actually, through your Workday account, you can get us an unofficial transcript straight from it. I actually had a link I included in one of the emails I sent out this past weekend, I believe. I would go ahead and you never know when you're going to need it, and you want to have it. So I would go ahead and get the unofficial transcript, put into your account. So if you've got it, then all it is a click to include it. But again, your documents are sitting there, and unless you make your resume public, nobody can see it. And you have the option to make your resume a public resume, which means that you've made it public through the Handshake system. Any employer that we've said is okay to connect to Wake students, if you make it public and they're out there searching, they can find you. Then that means if they're finding you, you need to be checking your inbox in Handshake, because they are messaging students directly through the Handshake portal to connect. And I've done situations like this for other students, and I'll tell them we did one for the football team, and we ran around kind of like this, and guys had their computers out and like, hey, you got a message. And one of the guys pulled it up, and it was somebody from, I think it was Adidas. And he was like, dudes, look, I got to be he had just kind of blown it off. He didn't really know that employers were messaging through the system, and it was a valid HR person who had seen something on the resume that they liked and wanted to talk to that student about potential opportunity. I'm going to give you a little bit of a caveat, though, to this. There are some employers that are going to message every single student on this campus. They love Wake students, and they are going to blast. Handshake allows them to buy into a messaging option. You can have different levels, and some of them say they want the tip-top levels. They can message everybody. You're going to get some outreaches through those emails that you're not interested in. I wouldn't burn a bridge. You may want to go back to it later. You can kindly say thank you, but at this time I've got other interests. Just don't say no. I wouldn't not respond, but just kindly decline the opportunity to connect, because you may eventually want to go back to them. So I would be checking those. When you start applying, you'll see under the My Jobs, it'll be your cast of things you've applied for. If we were earlier in the semester and there was a lot of campus interviews going on, that's going to track, and it's also going to show you if you've signed up for an interview. So this is the key mechanisms to make this system work for you. If I did nothing else in the next 2 days, I would make sure these things under your head with your profile and your documents and your career interests are done to make sure they're going to match up to what the system's feeding you. Events. We still have some events happening on campus. I'll be honest, my team tries not to schedule events after April 1st because we know you're at the marathon and you're trying to get across that line, and it is crazy. I've heard through the rumor mill there might be some beach weekends coming up for some folks. There's a lot of events going on. I mean, not just with what you're doing, but what our team's doing, what other things are going on campus. But the way the market is right now, employers are asking to be here, and we're not going to turn them away. So if you've got interest in any of these opportunities that are coming up, You need to try to make it. I hate to say it because I know you're juggling. Last minute request, if anybody's interested in consulting, McKenzie's going to be here Friday at 3 to do an info session. These are Wake alums at McKenzie who are really trying to get Wake back on the on-campus recruiting schedule for McKenzie. So if you're interested, it's 3 o'clock in Barrel Hall, 2728. The event's at Handshake. You can RSVP. These are alums who really, really want to talk to students and give you insider tips in a way to get you prepared, because they will probably launch their job postings and internship postings over the summer. They are early. They don't wait till y'all get back. Most time they post those over the summer. If that comes in over the summer, I'm going to be messaging students to let you know. So even if you take an opportunity, don't tune us out over the summer. If things come in, we're going to try to message you. But that's why I need you all to make sure your Handshake accounts are up to date so we can continue communicating. So they are here Friday. Bank of America, if anybody is a first year, sophomore, or junior, School of Business Board of Visitor meeting is next Thursday. And got a last minute request from a senior managing director who's going to be here for that board meeting saying, I'm there and I would love to do an info session if any students are interested. So I literally just put that event at Handshake this morning. The only room I could find during that time, and I warned them, I said, students are in class. I mean, I could see the list of classes. It's 2 to 3, I think it is, on Thursday of next week. The only room I could find was at the back of Wake Chapel in the religious studies building. Literally nothing else on campus open during that time. If your schedule's open, you're interested, please try to do that. Next Thursday night is the Hilton lecture. That is a lecture that is normally primarily solely for the MSA accounting students. The leader that's coming for that one is Kim McCaslin, who's with Bain Capital, and she has an industry background, career interests that are widespread. She is really, really good. Her focus is not primarily accounting. She is in private equity, and she wants to educate students on what that means, what the field is, how to be successful. So if that interests you, check that out. This is the kind of stuff that's happening, and it is just happening like that, and that's why we need y'all to have your stuff up to date in Handshake so we can get the emails out. Employers, I think I mentioned this in the last class perspective, and I should have told y'all, I talk 90 miles an hour. I should just tell me to slow down because there's so much in my head.
You're going on a good pace.
That I want to get out to you all. If there is any employer that is your top list of, I wish I could land the job or an internship here, find their Handshake account and follow them. Because if you follow them, anytime they do anything in Handshake, post a job, post an internship, post an event, sign up for an event, decide to come to campus, you'll get an alert. And that's about the only way to keep up to date with what's happening, because things are so fluid. But that's a good takeaway. I'm hoping you've all taken advantage of the career resources through the OPCD or School of Business, whichever you land on. I think I jokingly said this at the last time. I'm not a career coach and don't play one on TV. They are some of the best in the business. And I'm not saying this just because I'm a part of that team. They are good. And they want to help you get to where you want to be. So if you know exactly what you want to do, fine. That's where they're going to start with you. If you don't have a clue, and you're like, I'm just interested in this and have no idea which functions or industries or roles I should be looking at, they want to help you there. They want to help you get your resume picture perfect. Now, I think some of them's been in your classes. They want to help you do mock interviews to make sure you're ready for an interview. Use the resources. You paid for it with your tuition dollars. They are here to help. There's peer advisors they have. They've got walk-ins for you to get assistance with, and you use them. You don't have to have a picture-perfect document or a picture-perfect story or a picture-perfect plan. They want to start with you wherever you are. But I will tell you, if you've got a resume, I used to work in the editorial office. If you brought a resume to me, I'd be like a teacher with a red pen, giving you tips on what to do. That's what they want to do. They want you to kind of mess up with them before you mess up in the real deal with the interview or the application. So make sure you're taking advantage of that. Handshake can be overwhelming if you don't make the system work for you, and that's why these tips I've given you, it's what I want you to make happen. But I also don't want you to get frustrated with it. I'll be honest, Handshake made a change probably about 7 or 8 years ago, that they went more on the job title role than they did on the function. When Handshake was first rolled out, it had a big function sheet so that when an employer posted a job, they would go in there and they would say, this job has administrative functions, it has marketing functions, it has IT, it has leadership, it has whatever. And that's kind of the way that AI worked. I like that better. Because honestly, if a job, there's several jobs when you think about it, marketing or HR or IT or ops, are in every industry. You're going to have a marketing role or an HR role or a finance role in a nonprofit, in a bank, in an IT firm, at Wake Forest University. And I think people get kind of blindsided, or they have their blinders on. Instead, they have blinders on that they think a certain role is in a certain industry. Most functions are in all industries. So if you kind of think outside the box, and an example I gave in one class, and if I did this in the previous class, I'm sorry. A student, I had a great marketing job that came in. We weren't getting any applications. And I'm like, fine. I told 3 of my student assistants, please go into Handshake, find all the marketing roles, tell me what you find. They went in and they did a search for marketing, PR advertising. Didn't find it. Somebody else went in and did the industry PR advertising. Didn't find it. Somebody else went in and just did marketing. They found it. The marketing job was with the bank. They weren't thinking outside the box. They were thinking only the marketing roles in advertising and PR, and it wasn't. So if I were you, and if I was giving myself a tip as being a student looking for a job, I would focus on the function that you're interested in rather than the industry, and I'll let the system whittle it down for you. What have I missed? Right, that you can think of questions that has anybody used Handshake that you feel like you're just up against a roadblock and you can't figure out how to kind of manipulate or do with it? Yeah.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
I felt like I pressed apply and it just was like, okay, you're submitting I didn't even
some it's really weird. Some of them have like an auto application thing, and that's one thing Handshake has done to make it easier for the employer. I don't know what to do with it. I mean, literally, if you've shown interest, it's doing that. And that brings up another good point. I'm glad you mentioned, maybe had a brain thing go off. There's a lot of employers that are using Handshake to capture all the applications. Sometimes that means that they're potentially considering coming to campus. So they're using Handshake to be the collection point. So you're going to have to apply through Handshake, and that's good, because if they call and say, hey, I got 12 students, I'd love to come to campus, can you line up interviews? We've already got you in the application pool. I would say probably 90% of them now are having you also apply to their website. And students are like, it's extra work. It is, but there's a rhyme and reason. They have to have you in their applicant tracking system. Some of them have to because of legal reasons. They have to track application numbers by all, slicing and dicing different things. The good thing about it, it is a little bit extra work. But once you get their applicant tracking system, maybe you didn't make the cut in this opportunity, but they got you in there and they see you're a viable candidate for another role that's come open. And we've had that happen to students who said, hey, I applied to one, but they now call me for something else. So if you get their applicant tracking system, their AI, and they find out you've got a skill that another job's just opened up, they may just consider you for something else. You're going to have to do it, unfortunately. I mean, it used to be a one-stop, you just applied Handshake and that was it. But nowadays you're having to apply to both, and this is an extra step, and it's a good step, actually, for you.
Question. Yeah.
Yes.
So I've had students, they put a minimum GPA on Handshake. A little bit below, real close.
Apply. When Handshake first came out, and I think this is an advantage of what Handshake did. When it first came out, if they had a minimum GPA and you didn't meet it, you couldn't apply at all. There was a little bit of ruckus. There's students who have great skill sets. Their GPA may have just tanked because of one class, one something or another. They changed it to where the employer may put a minimum GPA, but anybody can apply. So they can actually get the whole applicant pool and then look through the whole bundle. The only opportunity you don't get considered for is the one you don't apply for. So if you've got an interest, whether you think you beat it or not, you need to apply. And I'm pretty sure I used this analogy before, is there's so many out there, and I think a lot of people look at it. A job description is written almost to find somebody that's ideal. Nobody is going to have every skill set or every qualification that's listed on most job descriptions. They are putting the ideal candidate, if they walk to the door, that can sit down and do the job. If you meet so many of those, or submit your resume. Let them call you out before you rule yourself out. So make sure you do that. Most of them are going to put you through a training program anyway. And if you've got 50 to 75% of the qualifications, let them train you on the rest. So don't rule yourself out. Make sure if you're applying to everything.
Yes. I think Izzy brought it up, like time frame. How do you know duration of the internship? How long should my internship be? Can I negotiate? Because we did talk about negotiation of.
Yeah. Most interns, if you're looking for an internship, most of them are going to be 8 to 12 weeks, depending on the company. If you end up with a shorter internship, and you want it, and you take it, please reach out to us. I mean, don't feel like you're, oh my gosh, I don't now have half the summer and I don't have anything to do. Let's see if we can help you try to find something else. Maybe you do want to have a summer and you want to, do something else to have a little bit more leisure. But if you really want to work during the summer, don't feel like you're out there just trying to find something in a big C. Let us see if we can help you. You got to make it work for you, what your schedules are. Maybe think of another thing too. Any of you going to be abroad in the fall? Okay. If you know of any friends that are going to be abroad in the fall, if you decide to go abroad anytime, you still have full functionality to Handshake. You may say, well, gosh, I'm not there. I can't go to an info session. If you've got interest, reach out to me or my team, and if we can get a presentation that's been given by the employer, if we can get notes, if they will allow us to share their contact information, let us get that to you, because I don't want you to miss something you possibly could take advantage of. On the interview side, if you see an opportunity that the employer is going to be here to do interviews, you still need to apply. If you get selected for an interview, you need to let our team know, because you'll get a notification. Sign up for the time that works for you based on where in the world you are, the time frame you're involved with, and reach out and say, hey, Dana, I got selected to interview with XYZ company. I'm going to need a Zoom, because more employers are allowing us to do that. In the past, they wouldn't. They'd say, nope, students got to be there face to face. But they're allowing us to build in interviews with students who are abroad. And literally, the rep might be there, and they're in the Broadway recruiting suite, and they interview 5 students in a row, face-to-face, and then we've connected the next student via Zoom in the room adjacent to them. So the rep just gets up, goes over, and they're already connected, and does that interview, and then goes back and does in person. Thank goodness they're allowing us to do that, because we don't want students to not go abroad. We don't want students who are away traveling for sports or whatever to miss an opportunity. So if you get selected and you want to interview, sign up and then let us know so we can make sure that connection's made. Most of the time what we'll do is I try to look at selections that come in from an employer, and I'll just be honest, Deloitte's one of my accounts. When Deloitte comes, they pick a ton of students. I will scan the list of selected students to see who is abroad. And I will reach out to those students first and say, tell me what your availability is, because I don't want you up all night. I don't want the time difference. Tell me what your availability is, and let me see if I can get a time that is reasonable, so you're not trying to wake up or try to stay awake, and get the abroad students in the slots that make sense before other students start filling the slots that they may have a little more flexibility with than the students that are abroad. My team tries to look at that to make sure we help the students out. If there's a student who's an athlete that knows that you got to catch a bus or a plane at 3 o'clock, and you got to have your interview in the morning, or you've got work, please let us know. Let us help you. Don't think I got to just say, no, I can't do it. Let us see if we can help you get a time that'll work. We've had employers who said, I'll be glad to I'll give up my hour lunch and do 30 minutes lunch and get another student in. I'll be glad to start at 8 to get a student in who's got a crazy schedule. So let us help.
Any other kind of pressing question? I always have another question.
I'll leave it to you. This is the time. Oh, this is the time. And I'm serious. Making your life easier makes my team's life easier, and trying to make sure we're making these connections happen. So, yeah.
Compared to, we talked a bit about negotiation in class. How do you think negotiation differs between full-time jobs and internships? I would imagine with an internship, you're less likely to be able to.
Probably. You're probably right. There are some employers that will have a range, and if you've got a skill set that they really want, they will be willing to negotiate. If you don't ask, you're not going to know. Sometimes you can say, are you able to? And they'll say, no, this is our base, and you just got to make a decision. So if you've already, did you do the negotiation year? Or did you have somebody might be sitting at the moment? It was you. Good job.
So, yeah, we talked about at least asking the question.
Yes, you can ask. Always ask.
Even if it says non-negotiable, I still prompt everyone to ask.
Yeah.
What is negotiable? It might not be the base salary, it might be some other things. But yeah, internship, they always ask.
Yeah, it's more of the structured program. I feel like it might, it's not going to put a bad taste in Danvers.
I don't think it will, because it's not just you asking. There's probably other students asking, and that's a common question they get. So I think you can ask. I think what's happening, and I know it's just your generation, it's not mine. Students talk, and they say, I got this job and I'm making this. In my day, you never talked about salaries. But I think what's happening with employers is because that's happening, they're trying to say, this is the flat. across the board. So there is no difference. You know, somebody could be working side by side and you're like, why do they get paid more than me? So a lot of them, I think, are making the flat rate. So there is no negotiation option. So, and it's actually making it fair, just, you know, but it's worth an ask.
And are you seeing salary transparency a little
Well,
bit?
there's some salary transparency laws in certain states that they have to list it. So that, you know, New York's one, I can't remember how the states that have it. That's good. I mean, we really like that because, you know, but there's some employers in some states that don't have to. Handshake has built it into the system that if they are in those states that have those new laws, they have to put the salary in there.
So we have Shan coming in on Tuesday talking about cover letters to resumes on some of this Handshake stuff. Now, see, I am on Handshake. I still get messages too. They're trying to recruit me, so it is useful. But the ones that say cover letter, do you recommend?
If they require a cover letter, you have to.
Okay.
You can submit a cover letter for any opportunity you want to, but remember, that's your first writing sample. So if you do a cover letter, because when you do your resume, it's not in complete sentences. You know, you use the strong action verbs. But if you do a cover letter, that is the first writing sample they're going to see from you. So it does need to be flawless. Don't have a, you know, we were looking at one a few minutes ago. If you're smart enough to find a name, don't put just hiring manager. Find somebody that's in HR. If you can't find somebody, reach out to us. But most of the time you can find it. Make sure it's spaced properly. Y'all won't take typing classes like I did in the day. You know, make sure it's not this, you know, half your page is blank. Make sure it looks really good. Yeah.
So you said to apply to an internship for the whole summer and then negotiate or negotiate before?
I would probably, since you're in a unique situation, what I would do is, if you see one that you're interested in, I'm not going to reach out. I don't want you to waste your time, to be honest with you, waiting on them. But I might, if they've got their contact information in Handshake, and a lot of recruiters do now, you could send an email and say, I'm really, really interested in your company. It looks really good, but I have already committed to this part of the summer. Is that even an option for you?
Sure.
And if you don't feel comfortable doing it, send me an email and I'll be glad to reach out on your behalf. I've got a student who's in a unique situation. Is it an option for it?
Thank you.
Yeah. And that's another change. Handshake has become such a common system used across the U.S. There's more employer reps putting their contact information available to students in the system. So you're able to find who they are, send them an email. We actually had a meeting with several of our key employer campus recruiting people, and they said they're getting so inundated with LinkedIn requests that they're not responding to it anymore. And that's what we always told students. Connect with LinkedIn. And that was kind of students, I think, oh, I'll just do that. I'll wait to hear from them. Some of them said they can't. They're getting so busy, they just cannot handle the load. If there's a rep at Handshake that you see, reach out to them in Handshake, because they've got the same inbox just like you do. And if you send them a message, they'll respond to it. Okay.
Any other?
If any question comes up after the fact, gosh, I wish I'd have asked, or I can't seem to make something work, you've got my email.
Can shoot the resumes over to you too?
You can.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually I hate to say it. I stare at Handshake all day long. I'm out there looking for jobs and internships all day long. The right brain, left brain thing in me. I used to work in an editorial office, and I can look at a resume and I'm like, you got an extra space there. Or I catch, it's like I haven't seen it. So sometimes I catch something that somebody else says you've looked at it 15 times and you're just not going to catch it. A lot of times I help print something at my church, and you print 5 of your church bulletins, and as soon as you pull it out, there's a typo in the top line, and you're like, oh my gosh. But sometimes you're too close to it, and you wouldn't catch it. And sometimes things are spelled correctly, and they're not right. And there's been some bad ones. So yeah, if you want to send it up, I'll be glad.
And Handshake, you kind of audit on that. Do you see their accounts? Do you see their profile?
I could literally go in and look at anybody's profile. Do I? No, because I don't have
It's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, so if your profile is your profile. But if you want to do your profile and you say, hey, I'd love for you to look at it, see if you see anything wonky with it, send me an email and say, hey, I've updated it. Glance at it. Do you see anything I'm missing? I might tell you I'm going to send you that skill sheet. Wait till I give you that skill sheet. So that way you can make sure that skill section is fully, as full as it possibly can be. And that, again, that's not the time to be shy. That's to put everything on there that could possibly help the AI feed you things that would match what you're looking for.
And last question I have, they've been doing kind of a virtual interview with the interview prep. They've changed the names a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But what are you seeing as far as employers using the virtual versus the in-person? Is Is it like 50/50?
I don't know the percentage. I know a lot of them are using the hierarchy on the front end. It used to be that technology wasn't there and every student, would get an initial interview, and now we're using HireView to try to, get the numbers down. Some HireViews will allow you to practice and, ditch it and do it again. So we're seeing a lot of HireViews, a lot. Wake uses it. A lot of companies are using it. There's still some people that are old school that are doing the initial 15-minute phone interview to see how you perform. You just gotta be ready for all of it. It's just totally different. And I'm gonna be on. There are some companies you're gonna apply to, and you're never gonna hear anything. When I was in your shoes, you'd always get a thank you but no thank you email, letter in the mail. We found another candidate deal. There's so many applicants now that companies don't do that, and I wish they would just at least acknowledge thank you, but we moved on, and sometimes they just don't do it. It's just, I think it's one of those courtesy things that's been lost in the chaos of the systems and stuff.
I think feedback is a gift, so I want you guys to think about what's your biggest takeaway, just so Dana knows kind of what was good from her talk and what she can.
So, I'm going to challenge you to, if you find something that the system just is weird, doesn't work, you find something you think's an error, you think you got an idea. Handshake is actually coming to visit campus in 2 weeks, and it's our chance to give them feedback. I've got stuff on the admin side that I've seen it would work a whole lot better if you think about this. If there's something from the student perspective that you say, this might be a tip that we can give Handshake to consider for their next upgrades and stuff, please send me that, because your feedback is going to help everybody move away.
So get what's done here. Carolyn?
Yes.
Feedback. What was good about this session?
I feel like they're just getting familiar with Handshake and like telling us how important that was. I also got that from your math session.
Okay.
So, and I've been really applying good skills. That's super helpful. Putting on the notifications for whatever, like in PR internships in like marketing. And then also just putting in the different, adding the skills while you were talking about that.
And you just recently did one of the video hire things. And how was it? Just so the clock's honestly.
It was nice because I was only like 6 questions and I got to do like retakes. I kind of had some notes on the side. So as long as you like have this star method, I feel like, and you have like a few different scenarios, I feel like it's really easy to apply it to like different questions.
And if you need a private spot to do that hire review, please reserve a number way. We've had students, and I've seen we actually used some hire reviews to do something. We were doing some tricks. When you students would all want to go on it, we had to figure out a way to let students apply, let's do the hire review. And there was a student, I swear I thought I was at a disco. They had lights behind them that were, it was like their room. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So if you need a private spot that would be, you got a noisy roommate or, things are going to be crazy, please reserve a room in Broadway. We try to make sure you got a solid background, you got a white landing spot, because you're nervous enough doing the hire reviews and you want to make sure nothing interrupts that. So it's just a tip.
Just kind of understanding more how to fully take advantage of Handshake, because it's very confusing.
It's overwhelming.
And so just kind of being able to maximize not only your profile, but also being able to see all the events and everything.
Good deal.
Yeah, I think definitely same for me. I think at first, when I was introduced to Handshake, I hadn't learned how to set the preferences. So I was getting everything somehow I was like, oh, this is so overwhelming.
Yeah.
But hearing you talk about how you can change preferences is really important. And I think because before I was they just updating my profile and making sure that this job position that I add with this information that's on there. But I think being able to set preferences will be super helpful as I actually begin meeting space and looking for things, and that way I'll not only be able to get more targeted results when I go on there, but also as I get emails, they'll be able to actually give me stuff that I'm qualified for and interested in, as opposed to random things.
And we're trying not to spam you. We're trying to use what you've told you're interested in. So if you're interested in chemistry, you're not getting investment banking. So that's why we're trying to use the practices of good deal.
I think for me, kind of the same thing. I think Handshake was a little daunting to me at first, but kind of getting more information about how to upload my documents and specify my skills and stuff will definitely narrow it down with like what I have access to.
60,000 down to.
Right, exactly, which is very helpful. So I'm excited to see what out.
I kind of a similar thing where, you know, you get all this handshake emails and don't really know what to do about it. It's completely overwhelming. But now, like, hearing about it and really going in, even now, just like editing my profile, is really starting to go fast and quite helpful.
I think that.
I think the skill section, I kind of overlooked a little bit. But everyone was like, I'm placing you to like 10 skills and like embellish yourself. But I mean, now, like, I see the like putting in skill, like as many skills as you can is definitely the best possible thing.
Yeah.
And then also like the events are really helpful. Like I did outreach to go to events and like sign up for like these different like investment banking opportunities and stuff like that. So that's really cool.
I feel like I just opened up.
Like he said, like the event section, and there's so much, like the search up and like sort of tailor it to like bringing it on to me and add it to it by talking.
And there's an unfortunate thing with COVID, in a way, a lot of employers found they can do things virtually. So the calendar on the virtual stuff for events is overwhelming. But the good things are being missed. So event section's key.
I don't know what you say, like, I think we're saying Handshake kind of seeming overwhelming, but I think it's just like dwindling things down and sort of like trying and like to trend focus on like and go and say it and well, how do you think fast stuff? No.
I looked at like the Anita Jobs person and started comparing mine to hers and kind of seeing what I needed to add and and some spots that would come in.
Good deal.
Because I didn't know that could have like more than 10 skills, and so like this whole entire time I've had like 10 skills and stuff working with that. But as soon as I put like okay, how do my resume, like the filtering got so much better. And then also like the easy apply thing was like you look at this like I think I've done like 30 resumes or just thinking the best 30 minutes.
Good deal.
Or about 30 applications.
You know.
Yeah, I had a similar experience too. Like, I had developed my skills and like my courses section and Handshake and I'm working with soul train.
It's a
Yeah, I had an account set up last year in the Indian class, and I'm not currently searching for jobs because nobody got to school, and so I just had to let my inbox like fill out. But when you said like we should still check who's reaching out, I did that while you were talking. And I mean, there's obviously some like spam or when like I did everyone. However, there's some that are very like tailored towards my specific skills, and so I've reached out to them like later in the future.
Good deal. And when you mentioned grad schools, originally when Handshake started, it was employers only. And grad schools have figured out this is where the college students are, and they're using Handshake to recruit students to their graduate programs. So if you're thinking graduate school down the road, they're doing info sections, they're doing chats, they're coming to events here when we do our grad fairs. So if you're thinking that path, you need to be using Handshake.
Oh, when I click the filters option, it can help me find which job or internship is open to OPT or CPT.
Yes.
For an active skill, which is truly helpful.
Yes. Good deal.
I basically said the same thing that everyone else before. Handshake, like feeling that I was overwhelmed, and then like overwhelming at first. So obviously I didn't really use it compared to like LinkedIn and other resources. But I think before the first one, I thought there'll be like another 3 days. I wasn't confused, but about like Handshake and just using it, so I was able to like filter out all. But each time we meet with you, I filter something else out. That's good. And so I was doing that for a bit. And I feel like even seeing like the emails is definitely more catered to my interests. And like now I actually look into them like, oh, maybe I can make this. So I do feel that's a bit helpful.
I just built one profile during this talk. I had profile picture about my resume, and so I've been looking around, filtering my preferences, and that's helping a lot.
Good deal. Good deal. See, and everybody's, learned something, which is great. Everybody's skills are different, which is great. And now your opportunities that you're going to find is going to be different. So I think I've probably had a bigger win than this than y'all have. So we can make sure my team's helping you also. If I'm going to ask you to be a cheerleader. If you know of a friend who's having a tough time trying to find something, please, tell them don't be frustrated with the system. They can reach out, just move in Broadway, and I'll sit down with them. So people on my team will. I want them to make sure they know the system is for them too. I can't get in every class, so you all can actually spread the word too. So please do that. Yeah.
When you graduate, does your handshake account disappear?
Used to. Now we've allowed, because employers are putting jobs for experienced hires in the system, that they're seeing the value. So as a Wake alum, you can actually, once you sign up for your at alumni.wfu-edu, you can get an alumni email, you can maintain Handshake forever.
Okay. Then
Yeah, but there's more experienced hire positions going in there. We also, as an alum, there's a Wake Forest alumni LinkedIn group, and a lot of times we'll get a job lead from somebody, and they say, we're going to Wake alums. They might not want to post it Handshake, but what we'll do is we'll put it in the LinkedIn group and say, hey, I just learned a XYZ company looking for this. Here's the link. And we just get out of the middle then. We just post it to that alumni LinkedIn group. But you can't keep it as an alum. Good question.
Well,
Anything else?
let's give Dan a hand. Thank you, Dan. And again, I wish this course and your resources were available while I was an undergrad.
Well, I wish this course was required, to be honest with you. I mean, we could get the word out to students in a required fashion. But I will tell you, Shannon's coming next week. Shannon is a workhorse. She's awesome. If you've not met her, she will help you from start to finish. So she's one of the great ones over there. The whole team's great. Love Shannon.
Alrighty, I'm gonna turn the camera off. Are you guys nervous when I have the camera going? And I appreciate Dana